Usually like 7 hours
Almost like
ahead.
midnight or something. He emailed me and said that he was.
Is he in Sweden or where's he at right now? Either way, it's about 4 p.m. so I guess it ain't bad. At least it's a morning
Can you
meeting.
hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you.
Looks
like he didn't have
I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Yeah.
And speak louder. You'll have to speak louder a little bit, David.
Can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, guys, hear you?
There's probably about a 2-second, 3-second time lag.
Okay, sounds good. Is it turning yet? It's still turning.
I'm probably going to shut off the video portion. I'm on batteries. I'm at my son's house, so I'll shut that off and I'll mute myself, but I'll be available.
Sounds good. We've never been able to get that out of the stand one person. That's crazy. Boys, like, remember we used to try and it never would.
I never learned what it was on. Yeah.
We need to change the settings where it circles.
So, birthday coming up. Today. And we celebrated it in a big way, building on the rich report. It was knew it would happen too.
Remote review. Shouldn't say that.
Get on the agenda.
He's on PC, mic, and speaker.
You say that was what I like to have her. Yeah. You're like the last one, it's like it's Lily or Libby.
Libby.
Yeah, so they do, you have to, sure. What you video. So I look like I'm muted over. Facebook.
9 o'clock. All right, let's start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome. First thing we need to do is approve the agenda. So move. Been moved.
Second.
Seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Aye.
3 seconds. All right, David.
Slight delay.
Yeah, about 2 to 3 seconds.
Was that a yes or no? We got
It
you.
was a yes.
Okay. Then you say yes or no. How's that?
I will say yes.
Okay. Public comments, go ahead.
My name is Ben Schimmel. I live at 3286 210th Street, Dyger, Iowa. I just come here to test the waters and work with what the agenda looks like on preserving the landscapes of Tama County. Full transparency, I want to share that I personally planning to build a home in rural Tama County that possesses open, that process has opened both my eyes, both the challenges and the opportunities for rural development, particularly thoughtful on a rural tax rate on how to benefit not only myself, but also others that would like to move to rural Tama County as we preserve the landscapes. So first of all, thank you for your time. Here to request the board to consider placing a proposal on a future agenda for discussion and potential approval of a rural housing tax abatement program designed to encourage new home construction or significant remodels throughout Tama County rural areas. Rural Tama County isn't just a place, it's a home where values are taught, neighbors love neighbors, and some of the best schools in Iowa help raise kids succeed at every level. But too often the same kids who leave the dream to move back, they never do. One of the biggest barriers is housing. There's the gap between what we have in today's multi-generational families and working adults' needs. This program would just freeze the current property taxes of outdated acreages or places that a home could be built. Now to take away or diminish it down to zero, it's a no-cost option for the school wouldn't receive any less, the county would not receive any less, but would encourage the building of new homes. Looking at starting at a 10-year eligible remodels or new homes to ensure no decrease in revenues to the schools or county. It holds the tax base steady while rewarding investment in long-term meaningful housing. Solutions, particularly those that allow older residents to age in place and their children to return to the rural communities they come from. This proposal would give aging acreages or farm owners the opportunity to remodel or build a new home where they can age safely and gracefully. Make it easier for children and grandchildren to move back and help with raising their own families, the place we know and love. Help fill our classrooms again, bring renewed life into our towns and rural areas. Offer a private, community-based alternative at a time when we've lost votes against some assisted living and elderly care. So I do see it as a timely opportunity as we preserve landscapes, as we could build some additional houses in rural Tama County. Just asking if there would be consideration to put that on an agenda where that's a topic that we could discuss. What that would look like. I do have some takeaways if we need if there's any questions, like how do we put it in there with an assessor or any other bait. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. You're in Dicer, is that what you said?
I'd be rural Dyser.
Rural Dicer.
Neighbors to
Okay.
Yeah.
Get Kurt your information and then work back and forth with Kurt.
I got a hand up here.
I have a question just for clarification. On Monday, it sounded like Salt Creek still wanted to be called the owner of the project. And yet they talked about NextEra doing research before they acquired them. It was the NextEra project manager, NextEra attorneys. Who was actually the owner then? Did it transfer ownership or not transfer ownership?
So to me, like, just for clarification, NextEra purchased the project, so they would be the owner. One of their subsidiaries. The developer was the gentleman that was there. He's not the only developer, but it's under Salt Creek Wind name as far as the.
So they're just a subsidiary. Okay. But wouldn't NextEra be the owner?
Yes.
They bought it. Okay, well, they tried to make it sound like they were not.
Yep. As far as I gathered, that was.
But just
I'm
to
not a
be-
legal expert, but we've asked that question many
Well,
times.
and one of the questions you submitted to them was, so who is the owner now? And they wouldn't really answer, right?
Right.
Is it, okay, I just wondered if I heard that wrong or I just didn't get it.
We have
Yep.
not seen an assignment yet, like
Right.
that they did, like we've seen no paperwork, I would say. Just verbal.
And the judge didn't ask for clarification on that?
No, I mean, he did. I mean, we asked for clarification and their answer was that they have purchased
project and that it's now owned by NextEra. So I would say the owner is NextEra.
Okay.
We haven't seen documentation, but there's now witness testimony under oath. So if that's not true, that would be perjury, right?
And after the public portion, did the judge give any, clarification on what he wanted it to look like between Monday and his decision in July?
I did
No, okay.
no initial.
Vince, speak.
Yeah, so I see on the agenda, you have what possible discussion, action on a state of construction. Is there any court order for a state of construction?
A court order?
Yeah.
There's right now no court order.
There's no court order for state of construction, so this board really has no authority to issue a state of construction, is that correct?
If there's no state of construction from a court, there are ways that there can be stays put in place.
What is your authority to stop construction without?
It's in the Tama County ordinance.
It is.
It stays all further proceedings in action of what had occurred, yes.
It is also in Iowa Code 335.14.
Yep. And we just had citizens put it on the agenda and
I
then,
see that.
correct.
Has the board of adjustment met on the, CUPs yet? That's also on the agenda?
On the cups
Yes.
in 2020, you mean?
Well, it's on the, you're discussing possible action on the cups today too, as the board of agenda met. Or the adjustment, I'm sorry, meant to, they were supposed to meet as to whether to reaffirm those or not. And I believe that meeting got delayed. Have they met yet or not? Or are you guys just trying to go around them?
They have not met. We're looking to do a resolution today. For what it says, everybody can read what it says.
Is there a
There's-
resolution? I didn't read the resolution, I agree.
And it should be out there online. There is a appeal, I believe, on the extension still, so I think that's still supposed to be scheduled. I don't have a firm timeline, but my understanding is it's supposed to be scheduled here sometime in June, if all parties can meet.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Stay under construction. People ran the assumption to the public that you were gonna save tax dollars, taxpayer money. Just how are you saving taxpayer money by continuing to raise legal fees? Because this has gotta cost money.
It certainly does.
And I know Heather says that we're not paying for it because, the risk pool gave us $25,000. We paid for that $25,000. I mean, it's plain and simple. We pay money to be a part of the risk pool. Would you like to reaffirm how much that is for a year?
Yeah, it's part of the benefits that we do. We have the risk pool and we have a surplus of money, and that's what we're using. We came in and we are looking at what we're doing. We can't change what's been done in the past. We're doing what we do from here on forward.
She didn't say we hadn't spent any money. She said
Yeah.
that a lot of the lawsuits that had come forward, some of them are gone now, but we had money that was allocated to us through the risk pool.
Yep, I'm doing everything I can to get money to cover it, so it's not additional money coming out of our legal fee on our budget.
Right, it's coming from the risk,
Yep,
but we pay yearly along with that risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
so
it's
does
for.
everybody.
Yep, that's what it's for.
You pay insurance and then you have benefits that you could
Still
use.
paying.
We're paying our normal insurance per year. And we have a surplus that we're using to pay some of the legal fees. Yes, there is legal fees of supervisors. Attorney is costing, yes. But that's it. And there's other ways this board, as we said in the past, has spent hours on the budget. And we've already saved, what, over $1 million? I mean, we're doing what we can to keep it down. We're doing what the taxpayers want, and that's what we're going to do. I know it's disappointing when it's not what everybody wants, but we're gonna do what the majority of people want.
What majority?
Well, we were elected in, so I would say what this board feels and wants is what the people want. And I apologize, it's hard. I know there's different opinions, there's different viewpoints, and I'm sorry.
People that are signed up for winter stuff, they don't count.
They had the chance to vote.
And I honestly, I've had nobody call me in favor of it. You know, I will listen to anybody, even though, you know, you may think differently. I will answer anybody that calls me. I'll hear them out. I have not heard anyone in favor or say, hey, I really need this. I want this. I don't hear that besides just you that are here today.
I've talked to a lot of farmers and they say they're not for winter leaders. But their next sentence is, it's the farmer's right to put on his land what he wants. He owns that land. It's not your choice as to what they can and cannot put.
The government has been telling people what to do with their land for 200 years. It's nothing new. That's what they're called, ordinances.
So you
That's
can-
why cities have ordinances. You people, we got elected, Bill. Sit down and just put up with it. I mean, your bitterness is just unwelcoming.
You people are waste.
I tell you,
Had a lot of people in the county.
a lot of this could have been solved.
Realize what the heck.
You knew exactly, I told you, and you knew exactly what this board was gonna vote for. And you guys pushed in a zoning commissioner that
Okay.
did cuts, and you did all that stuff knowing that this stuff's gonna get changed, so you knew there was gonna be lawsuits. So don't stand there and complain about it.
Sue, you lose $200 million. That's just a rough figure. $20 million to the salt reaper next area. Is that gonna come up and pay for it?
No, you will.
Yeah.
Taxpayers.
The ones that want it, make them pay for it.
And just to be clear, there's an automatic stay. Due to that extension, there's an automatic stay. We're not showing up putting a stay. We can enforce it, but there is a stay based on the ordinance. And he needs to be followed and abided by, and the law needs followed.
John, you could respond, but not to Bill. You could direct your
I'll
comments to
direct
us.
it to you guys.
Okay.
Fourth generation farmer, Geyser. This is not about property rights. This is about protecting property rights, protecting everyone's property rights in Tama County. I'm a farmer, I'm a cattle producer. I cannot build a cattle building within 2 miles of any town. I live on the edge of Dyson. One, I wouldn't do that to those people. It's called being a good neighbor. If money was the ultimate thing and you didn't think anything of your name, I guess it wouldn't bother you. But I understand that there was stricter laws in this county putting in hog confinements than there was putting up wind energy. This is about protecting everybody's rights, not just the person that wants the check for a wind tower. Everybody deserves to be protected.
Karen,
So. Anyway, as far as voters go, there were over 65% this count that voted knowing where you guys stood. I'm sorry. Knowing where you guys were going to go with your election. And the whole county was turned upside down in that last election, and most of us in this room, that election. to try to make this county better, but more than that, to be involved. And to not just be sitting on the sidelines whining all the time, because if there are 16,000 people in this county, there aren't very many that are stepping forward. Now, Bill said that he's talked to people that believe property rights, even though they don't want them, property rights. But on the other hand, I personally have talked to people that just love to tear those contracts up, and they cannot. And 3.5 years or 6 years after they sign those contracts, they're still binding. They, as far as insurance goes, everybody in this room, I bet you carries an awful lot of insurance because we all of us own something. And we pray we never have to use it, insurance, but by gosh, it's so hard making those premium payments, especially after 2020. But if we don't have insurance, we're not gonna be covered. So that's what insurance is for. You just keep paying the stupid stuff every year because you own things and pray you never have to use it, and then hope that if you do have to, there'll be enough. That's insurance. I've done this health, property, personal real estate for what you own. That's what insurance is. And a lot of liability insurance in this day and age. And
Nancy?
I appreciate you guys, that we have open comments and that you respond to us. And no comments used to be given to us constantly. And I also appreciate having the owl. I remember when Jim was in the hospital for 9 months and I begged the supervisors to get a system going for us. And it was on deaf ears. And I thank you.
Trying to get it working better. But
Yeah. I want to say something.
will you state your name for the record?
I mean, Rita, RTA, Joseph, STAL. I've been approached by wind turbines twice. I told them no. They, tell my neighbors that they cannot talk to me because they sign up, they will get sued. Where does the freedom of speech come in? We can't talk to each other. I have concern about that. Also, when the turbine gentleman who talked to me, I asked him where they're gonna put it, the man, I can't tell you. I think that is a very unrespectful to the consumer and to the farmer who owns the land. I think there's too many unknown factors that goes through this. I think number 3, our ordinance needs to be updated. It's been 20 years by state law. The ordinance gotta be updated, to code. And have these companies responsible if they do get these wind turbines in place. No, they have to, if something goes wrong, they have to take it down. There is an article that a farmer is doing a wind turbine because turbine went on fire, destroyed his crops. And nothing to do with this. So there is a lawsuit out there against them. And I think if we don't get guidelines here, or if we don't get people, I think people have rights to get out if they don't know if they're signing. My lawyer told me not to sign. I bless him for that. There's too many underlying statements that people don't read, are not aware of. I hear that wind turbine has a full control, not just of 5 acres, but the whole land, the whole 80 acres, or 100 acres, or 1,000 acres. They tell you when to farm, when to spray, when to plant, when not to do. So where does your choice of being an independent farmer and owner make that decision? Am I making myself sense? I think there is a concern. Yes, am I against it? I'll be first to tell you I am. Do I have a lot of questions? Yes, I do. And I think the public needs to be aware of the communication between companies and owners, to be honest. My neighbor was told that all was signed up. And he said, Ree, I didn't know that none of us did. That's the reason why he signed up. Granted, you could ask her or talk to her about it. That's the sad part. Big lie. And, they can't tell, they can't be honest with them. Then I think that's a poor thing, barrier right there. Thank you. Sorry, it's my passion.
Sure, thank you.
My farm is a century farm. I am honored to have it.
Thank you, Rita. Well. That close public comment. Need to approve 5/19/25 meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. It's
Slow down a little bit.
yeah. Engineer report with Ben.
Morning.
morning.
So we got dust control, that essentially all be sprayed by the end of this week. I don't have the dates there for you, but some of them like, Envirotech, they got pushed back from rain last week. They pushed it back to this week. We've already been spraying some spots, so by the end of this week, we should have all the dust controls, they should have all the dust control spots taken care of. Traffic counters will be out on roads, DOT let me know, so, see the tubes and whatnot, stuff, that's what they're out there doing. On replacing the pier cap on 340 Street Bridge, we got delayed, we're gonna have the crane come in, last week, but with the rain, weren't able to do that, so that got pushed back. This following week, so we're just gonna get it prepped and ready to get that all ready. Then, have tanker cars at G Avenue. We're just finishing our dirt working project. Hopefully, at the beginning of next week, we'll have that job ready to go. So, then, rain last week, we did some scrap metal around our storage building. And then today we're starting kind of a slight regrade on K Avenue, on the shop, on 270, bringing in the first a little bit and then re-rocking that. So, and then we've been starting spray patching a few areas like C Avenue and T55. So, that's all I got this week.
Is the patching on T55 the side of the road too, or just the center where the, like, what are you doing for patching?
Or just, the spots that they're, breaking up.
Yeah, I know, I just drove it and I saw there, it's eating away pretty good on a couple of spots, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people don't drop off there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get to him on that? Oh, Adam.
Yes. And then, I guess, forgot to put that in here. Tomorrow, have interviews set up, true labor, so I talked with. I have him set on that. Unless, if you're still available for Friday. We'll figure out something. Okay. Happened this week, we had, just kind of a handful of candidates. Got a few reviews for that, would be interested in hiring, so.
Thanks for getting that tiling deal fixed too. Yeah, that was, they said it was pretty wet when they put it back in, so.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing to close it for the.
More issues. So.
Yeah.
Question?
Sure.
Is it?
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, discussion of possible action to enforce a stay for commercial wind energy conversion system. Richard and John, Richard Arp and John Nathan Black asked to get on the agenda and, we approved it, so we'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you. It's refreshing to see these faces up here. It's refreshing to see things actually getting done in this county. You're appreciated. The county appreciates you. I want to reinforce that. You've made tough decisions and you've had a bad situation passed off. But you're doing the best you can. We all realize. And we thank you for that. David as well too. But now the county is at a critical crossroads. And it's going to take your immediate action. I have a few questions as taxpayers that I want you to think about and consider carefully. Will you stand with Tama County taxpayers who elected you and gave you the privilege to sit in those chairs? Or will you stand with wind energy companies who choose to use our county as a doormat without regard to laws and regulations you five have enacted and need to enforce? Will you stand with Tama County residents, public health, and public safety? Will you stand with wind energy companies who know nothing of the fine people that live in this great county? And they believe Cedar Rapids is part of Tama County. Are you supervisors willing to risk the emergency 911 system at a cost of well over $6 million? Transmission lines, substations, wind towers that had been moved? I don't think so. The discrepancies we all heard in court the other day are all too numerous to mention. But this is an example of what is energy companies think they can come to Tama County, do what they want, and get what they want. You guys even know who you're dealing with? Those permits are null and void. They are invalid. If there was a transaction between wind energy companies, there should be a transaction recorded through the recorder's office or the assessor's office. Wouldn't you think? Again, the wind energy companies think they can walk all over this county without regard to any of the land use regulations. That is why we are requesting you send Sheriff Casey Schmidt and and stop any further construction. All of this is within the authority. All of this is within the authority of what Tama County taxpayers have bestowed upon this board. We request construction comes to an immediate halt. It is time to send the message that you will follow the laws and the regulations that have been enacted. I would like to thank you in advance for your immediate consideration in this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I only got one page.
Yep, I was wondering if you had something to add to it.
In the last 3 years, I have these on to read that. I've been at most of the supervisor meetings for 3 years. And I want to thank you guys, because I remember what it was like to come to this meeting and have a board of supervisors that wouldn't listen no matter what you want to say. They finally said, no comment, no comment. And then only allowed us to speak for a couple of minutes on something that was on their agenda. Not allowing the public to bring any item to this board at a public board meeting. So I personally want to thank every one of you. And I know sitting in these meetings the last 5 months, you have not had an easy job. And today is not an easy meeting for you either. But I appreciate your commitment and your willingness to work with the county and listen to the people. That's just my first line here, so. I listened on Monday or Tuesday at the court case and heard so many discrepancies in the cut permits that your lawyer, Mr. Reck, commented about. Those permits should not have been allowed. They should have been exact and complete before they were approved. The stay we're talking about is a stay that the legislature, state code 335, I forget exactly what Laura said, 335-1 is what I think it is. When there's any court case concerning the Board of Adjustment's decision, there's an automatic stay with that court case until the Board of Adjustment can move forward. So until the Board of Adjustment has a chance to look at that case and decide what they want to do. The Board of Adjustment has not met. And I don't know if that meeting's been set, but I don't believe any company should be allowed to do any construction when there's a legal stay in place. And you guys have the power to enforce that stay, to allow Casey, who I'm thankful is behind me, to allow him to go out and stop this right now until you guys have a chance to go forward and allow the Board of Adjustment to relook at those cuts. People of Tama County who we encouraged to put 5 supervisors on the board, who we encouraged to have 5 supervisors who were anti-wind. You guys all ran on that. And to do now what the people of this county, the majority of the people in the county have asked you to do, it's time for you guys to step up. You know, I've heard people say, well, TCAT should do this, TCAT should do that. No, the people of this county elected 5 good supervisors to do the job that you're doing. Take care of this. You have the power to enforce that stay, to allow Stacy or Casey to go out and stop it. Our work. Basically ignoring the law, ignoring that state. You can't allow a large company to overrule the law. And the law says there's a stay in effect and you need to enforce it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Thanks.
the code. Sure.
Laura, what was the code you cited?
335.14, I believe is the one I found from the Iowa code. 335.14. And this section is called state of proceedings. I think that's the proper section. I hope I'm not wrong.
Do you guys have any comments, discussion?
So appreciate the comments. You know that we're going on and say we're working on it with our council and yeah, yep. Thank you guys though. Like I said, it's automatic, so there's nothing we need to actually act on. It's just an enforcement thing that we will work on.
I've been a little bit out of the loop the last couple of days. I was obviously at the court hearing on Monday, and we knew most of the stuff that was on there, going to come out, because we knew our attorney was going to ask. The interesting thing is that he had a very laborious way of going through each, place where the cup was different than the application, or what was going to happen from what was submitted in the application. And, after about 3 examples, and so, we've been asking questions. We wanted to get answers. Obviously, there's a lot of differences within those two. We also have to recognize that the Board of Adjustments and Independent Board, there was at one point, not so long ago, I think we have to address the elephant in the room. There was an appeal there, and it was dismissed by one of our citizens. And so that put us in an interesting position. We have to understand where we're at in that case. I think there's another one that is out there that's still in play. We believe we've filed paperwork last Saturday to intervene in that case. We're hoping that we can keep that alive and moving forward as an appeal to the extension, for the same reasons why we found out more answers in court Tuesday. I said Monday, but it was Tuesday. Monday was Memorial Day. My week's been kind of scattered, so that's the point. I believe that there is still a stay in place. So the action that you would ask for us to take is to enforce the stay. We believe there is a stay. I believe that the county attorney has agreed that there is a stay in emails back and forth. And there has been all of this time, yet construction continues. I want to read for the public an affidavit that I sent, and we have filed this and sent to Salt Creek Wind back in May 5th. Made a declaration with what we understood. A couple of highlights of it. In September 2024, Salt Creek Wind LLC or Salt Creek requested and received zoning certificates related to a wind energy project, and a citizen appealed the decision, issuing those new zoning certificates to Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment affirmed the decision, and the citizen's appeal to district court is currently pending at Espenshide versus the Board of Adjustment. That case is gone. In December 2024, former zoning administrator for Tama County approved lengthy extension requests related to the new zoning certificates. A citizen appealed the zoning administrator's decision granting the extensions. The appeal until the Board of Adjustment issues its decision on appeal before it. Tama County ordinances impose an automatic stay on all activities in furtherance of the action appealed from. That's in our ordinance. That's also in the state code that has been cited. Tama County has, through our council, notified Salt Creek and activities in furtherance of the project are in violation of legally mandated stay. In response, Salt Creek has made clear it intends to proceed. The ordinances state, except where an extension of time has been obtained in writing from the administrative officer, certificates hereafter issued shall expire within 90 days of if a substantial beginning has not been made in the construction, or if the use applied for has not been established within 1 year. That's our ordinances. If the Board of Adjustment reverses the former zoning administrator's decision on the extension, Salt Creek zoning certificates will have been expired and will no longer be valid. That's our position. As a governing body of Tama County, the Board of Supervisors has a strong interest in ensuring its laws are followed, and each day Salt Creek violates the state causes irreparable injury to the public interest. It just goes on to state that I'm not aware of any other petition or requests to enforce the stay related to the extension appeal currently pending before the Board of Adjustment pursuant to Iowa Code 335.1. We had sent that. They continued with construction anyhow. So the question is, how is it enforceable? And I think that you guys have pretty much brought that to light. They have to physically be restricted. They have to physically be stopped. And that falls not in our court, that's with the sheriff. Okay. I think that it was good to get some of the answers to our questions. However, it is confirmed that the rule of law is not being followed. The rule of law is not being followed by corporate conglomerates against small Tama County. It's to make anybody else follow it. It sets a really bad precedent in a really bad state. As far as an action on your request, we're going to take action on a resolution following this. I think we'll address this board isn't the one to enforce it. Any mechanism that I'm aware. Unless we, literally go out there with force and somehow stop it. I think that would be something of that nature. And well, we certainly have heard your request and your frustration. First of all, let me say I thank you for showing up, because to have the support is very important. I would also say that had Bill taken the other side, he'd probably still be in the seat right here today. It's an honor to try to represent and try to sort out all the facts within. We don't want to sell you guys short. And so hopeful that you're confident in our ability. I think that you've seen our attorney, on Monday. I think he made a very compelling case as to why, and I think that this is the way that we do it. If we could find a way between now and Monday, to honor your request, I think that we're certainly willing to put that back on the agenda. Does that work? Thank you. Further comments, questions? The agenda item, is there any motion for the agenda item?
I don't think for the specific one, like I said, I think talking legal, we don't need a motion, we just need to do it. We have the power to do it per, what the law says. So I would say collectively, the elected officials, we need to just enforce what our ordinances say and what the law says. What we're gonna do, that's what we're elected for, to follow the law.
Okay.
Does anybody thinks different?
I do.
Just so we're clear, I agree with you, Heather. This is David.
Yep. Thanks, David.
Make sure he's not gonna further elaborate. Wait 3 seconds.
Wait for it.
Do we want to table it and bring it back on Monday, or when we have more information?
That's fine. I can make a motion to table it till Monday.
I'll second it. Okay, it's been moved and tabled.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. We'll table that until Monday. Discussion and possible action on Board of Adjustment action on a reconsideration of CUP granted to Salt Creek Wind LLC, Resolution 529-2025A. This is our resolution that we would like to propose. Whereas the Tama County Board of Supervisors enacted an ordinance on January 14th, 2010, regulating commercial wind energy conversion systems, or CWECs, which specifies the requirements for an application at the May 27, 2025 hearing in Salt Creek Wind LLC versus Tama County Board of Supervisors in Tama County, number CVCV 008931, raises questions as to the CUP granted to Salt Creek Wind LLC, Salt Creek, in 2020 and Salt Creek's compliance with applicable specifications and requirements. And whereas the Board of Supervisors finds that there are sufficient concerns regarding the Board of Adjustment's approval of the 2020 CUP application submitted by Salt Creek to warrant reconsideration, rescission, or revocation of the grant of the CUP, and it is therefore resolved, Board of Supervisors of Tama County, Iowa. The Board of Supervisors is authorized to submit an application or petition to the appropriate body seeking, to the extent of the law, reconsideration, rescission, or revocation of the grant of the application, failure to comply with the commercial wind energy conversion system ordinance specifications and application submittal requirements, and any other such considerations deemed appropriate, not consistent with the Tama County zoning ordinances and Iowa law. Questions?
Yeah, I mean, just a discussion point, like we've been talking about a little bit Tuesday. I mean, that's all public info. We had the hearing. There's been, it's not like it's just a don't want wind. This does not follow the law and what they said they would do in 2020. So for people who weren't there, the transmission lines have moved. There was several different things that our attorney showed of this is what it looks like today. This is what it looks like now. And landowner that signed up, they thought this is what it would be, right? This is where the transmission lines will run. This is where my access road will be. And there's several instances where it changed, right? And so there's that. The substation was never even approved. If you look back, there's no approval on a substation. It was gonna be roughly in a generic position, but there is no approval of a substation. I don't know how you're gonna run 60 turbines without a substation, but there is no substation approval, right? So there's, the tower heights, there was a range of 4 different turbines. Hey, it might be one of these 4. That was 4.5 years ago. They're not using any of those. All these studies were done based on a different turbine that was taller. So you get a shorter turbine, you know, you got your different, wildlife studies, you got your noise, shadow flicker. How does that affect all of that, right? And if new studies were done, that's invalid. All of this should have been done. If you go to build a house and you get an approval, you need to do that. If you can't, you need to do a variance or you need to throw it away, reapply and start over. There shouldn't be special exceptions. And again, we learned a lot of facts and it is what it is. It's the law. And if you say you're going to do something, the ordinance says you have to do it this way, you need to do it. There shouldn't be workarounds for people unless they get a variance, and there's no variance. So I would say we need to do what we need to do to make sure that things are followed. If things were done wrong in the past, it does not bind a future board to not follow the law. So yeah, that's what I guess I would say. We got a bunch of facts out there. Tuesday was a really good meeting, and you know, I think there's some bills going through the Trump has out there, and it's making a lot of companies think they need to get building within 60 days. And so there's tons of different areas. I looked at the state of Iowa, and a bunch of these FAA permits showed up. Oh, we're going to start building because they want these subsidies to not go away quickly. So that's what's going on. There's a lot of companies that, oh yeah, we used to, you know, talk about building. So that's where I'm at. We just got to follow it. That's always been my thing, is compliance. You say you're going to do, follow the ordinance, follow the rules. It'd be a different story if this company was doing all of that.
Am I allowed to comment at all?
Sure, go ahead.
That's another thing. Those subsidies are taxpayer dollars as well. I just wanted to bring that up. That those themselves without those subsidies. And those subsidies are taxpayer dollars.
Okay, well, I'd just like to make a comment about the subsidies that he mentioned. Without the subsidies, these windmills would not be built. And so they're only here for the government money. They're not here to build a windmill because it's good for Tama County. They're here for the money, period. They need to be stopped. But they have lied to somebody that says, I have signed, that this lady has her contract signed. The one that was lied to, that contract should be void because they made a contract under false pretense.
And I'll add in too, I didn't mention decommissioning, so that was mentioned as on Tuesday as well. So our ordinances are very old, 2010, but it does say decommissioning needs to be adequate. And we received a month or so ago a bond for 1 year before these things are even built, or maybe 4 months after they're operational. To me, that is not adequate. And we're talking about taxpayer money. How does that help taxpayers? What if subsidies go away? What if the technology changes and we're stuck with 60 turbines, and who's going to pay to take it down? We're all going to pay that, right? There needs to be an escrow or bond in place to cover, and that's why our ordinances need updated.
Yeah, and just to further elaborate on that, it's 60 now, but what is it in 5 years from now? This is a matter of principle just across the board. And I think that that's important to keep in mind as well.
So along the line of decommissioning, that is going to expire in April of 2026. And so there are more than one farmer that's suing right now, these companies, because of fires or blade damage or storm damage, because they can't sell their crops. So several farmers they've got hundreds of acres. Nobody will take their crop. They can't put cattle out there, because of the fiberglass and the destruction that's all over these fields. This is just such a huge deal. It's no wonder these companies are gonna leave without any information. You guys ran on honest and transparency as your agenda, and so I just thank God that you're still doing that, because these companies sure are not doing that. They are caught in lie after lie, or so often Tuesday, hear the question when our lawyer was asking the question, they could hear the question from their lawyer. Or they wanted it repeated, or they wanted it restated, or could you clarify that? Or it was just constant avoiding answering questions. That's a pretty big clue of, thank you.
Just want to bring up, since we're bringing up the, back to the subsidies, how many of you farmers are willing to give up your government subsidy?
Gladly.
Taking it out of the programs. In the program.
Not in a program, Bill.
Yeah.
With that being said, did we get?
Yep, if you guys wanna make comment, we're gonna open up public comments again here in a minute after we take action. But,
If you were in public comments.
Not yet.
no, but this is an important resolution that we hear people's before we vote on this, because this is an important vote. So I wanted to get some feedback, and if you wanna address the board, that's fine, but please don't address each other.
I'll make a motion that we accept this resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 5-29-2025 roll call.
Aye.
Turner,
Aye.
Knappel,
Aye.
Dolan,
Aye.
Hoka.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Discussion and possible action for the future of the West Annex building. Casey had put together a proposal for us, from the sheriff's department. As many of the departments either are or have already moved out of the, West Annex. That's the building that used to be the, human,
Resources.
no, human services,
CPC.
the CPC for the county. Thank you. Now that we don't have a CPC anymore, other offices were put in there. Economic development was in there. Garrison was in there. He's still technically, here as well, but he's left for other employment. And not to try, I don't want to get beat up. We did eliminate his department, so he was going to have no anyway, but he did find another job and he's moved on. Is there anything else in there?
Zoning.
Zoning, I'm sorry, Laura, is also in there.
Got Libby.
And Libby is in there. Libby works mostly from home. She comes in, from her report, not very often, is what she said. And so we have a whole building there. It's very nice. Casey has need of moving his patrol deputies according to his, proposal. And, we're looking at adding even the, mental health advocate, to the sheriff's department. And Casey's kind of in the, heading that up at this point. To respond to crisis and to follow up with crisis, with people who are in crisis through his department. And so, we would need another office for that. Board chair, I think, is Billy the board chair?
Yes.
Asking for, us to do something there We're not able to construct a new building to the extent that they need at this point, but there is still some, between EMA and there needs to be some arrangements made there as well for office space, so certainly willing to entertain discussion on that building and what our need is, because it's sitting there, we have need. What do we want to do with it at this time? Do you want to speak to it at all, Casey?
No, I just want to add, since I did turn in my proposal, and I don't remember the exact date that I turned it in. We have, the county now has an IT director, Mike. Mike has toured, obviously, all the buildings. I spent a lot of time with him. And listen to them talk. In talking with Mike, obviously, he is currently at the desk over here in Karen's office. The office directly across from the dispatch where kind of our main server room is, one of the main ones. There'd be a large office in there for Mike, and me and Mike have talked, and he said that if it is possible, that room would work very, very nicely for what he needs to do with all his computer and IT stuff. I have talked with Jacob, our 911 director, and Ryan. I think that as I explained in the proposal, I think that unfortunately for the dispatchers, I think that there was some conversation that took place a lot sooner than needed to about a new dispatch center, and they are in desperate need for a new dispatch center, but I think everybody's on the same page now that we know that that's not going to happen for some time. So my ultimate goal with part of this proposal is to allow the dispatchers to have us the ability to accommodate them the best we can until we can get something in place for a new building. Having Ryan in with Jacob, while it may have worked in the past with other employees, not saying that they don't get along, not quite yet at least, they still get along, but I think ultimately it's good that every department, especially dispatch, they have their own space to be dispatched, to do what they need to do, given the fact that they have a room and an office that is not the best right now. So ultimately, when I did find out about the West Annex, and I'm unsure actually, I know there was a meeting on Tuesday night with economic development. I'm not sure what the outcome was of that on Tuesday night, but it's my understanding that, yes, just like you said, I think that Laura is the only one occupying that building, and that was part of the reason why I did kind of jump on that proposal, is because I have 5 deputies in one office, 4 in 2 others. Yes, we do have take-home cars that we use as offices, but it is, if anybody's been through our sheriff's office, it's a very cramped area. So allowing us to move down there, the patrol, our detectives, chief deputy, and with our mental health liaison, realizing that we're running out of room very quickly. So that is part of the reason why I kind of inquired last week about what we have for an update, because I know that everybody would like to be effective in their job duties, but I'm not sure that even outside of my office, everybody else with the lack of space is at their full potential or effective their current spots.
Can I make a comment?
Yep.
For those of you who don't, you're 911 director. I just want to make sure you guys are every time we're in this issue. With getting our new IUC here, Mike, we have to get him special criminal justice access to our systems, as we manage quite a bit of sensitive data in our comm center. And what I've kind of learned over the last month is EMA and 911 have pretty separate duties on what we do and everything. And what I learned, and this is fresh today, so bear with me, is for Ryan to actually have an office. And I understand he does not have, it's something we can orchestrate, but that's just another barrier to having another party in our office that we kind of run into, because while we do have 3 consoles out on the dispatch floor, my desk as well does serve as the dispatch console and does have access to sensitive information. So we need to, according to the guidelines that we do technically, we need to separate us out from that because of that. Not saying, I mean, we do have a good partnership and everything, but it's just something that we run into with the rules of our, information systems and all. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Plus, the office is break room, storage room for everything. It's very cluttered, so 911 needs space. So that's kind of where, yeah, we're 6 feet from each other, back to back, which is fine, but, you know, there's a couple things I can't do when Ryan's present, unfortunately, just for confidentiality issues, whether those are handling subpoenas. At least split, I don't care. Obviously, Ryan needs his own space too. He has just a small desk right now. He has quite a bit of equipment that he has with him as well, so just kind of my comments on that.
Was the goal to move him across from the 911 center?
So the goal was originally, and still a possibility, when Mike was brought aboard, I know that while it's great to be in the auditor's office all the time, I know that it may not be effective for him, just in the conversations that we've had. I think that's a great spot, and if I'm speaking for you, tell me, I don't want to do that, but in our conversations, that's a great spot for him. If there is a meeting or meeting somebody here, obviously there's some, strategic concerns with having him down in that office due to the facility that he's in, it's locked, but I think as that desk, to my understanding, is currently occupied by Mike when it falls here. But I think that space ultimately down there is a quiet space. He can do his computer stuff down there and have plenty of room to do that. And that's just what the conversations I've had with Mike and yeah, I think that ultimately, if Mike occupies that office, Brian will more than likely come on up somewhere. One of the offices that we have that will then be free in the jail office. And I think that will work out pretty well.
Okay. Could plan to paint that building? Maybe put some signage on it, or?
More than likely, yes.
I could see it as a good thing, just as a deterrent for people who are coming into town right there on 63. To know that there's a sheriff's department right there. It's proven, I mean, it's actually proven that if you have a deterrent, the more deterrent you have, the less crime you have. And so that's a benefit to it.
So your proposal that you proposed to us is still the same, correct?
It's still the same. I just wanted to add that now. And that's kind of why I brought it up in email last week, is that having a conversation with Mike, having conversations with Jacob, knowing that we're obviously gaining traction on the mental health advocate, where they need to be, seeing how other counties and other departments utilize that. It would make a very good addition down there for that individual with all the patrol and detectives and Joe. And then it's just trying to figure out where everybody else can end up with enough space for them to effectively do their job.
Yep, they would, the mental health advocate that's already there now, and the mental health liaison would fall under a different set of guidelines for HIPAA compliance, because there's going to be protected health information that they have that you don't have to follow at this point.
Yep.
The accommodations would just have to be such that they would really just they have to have their own office.
Yep, and they would have their own office down there, and
behind 2 locked doors, basically.
we can make it.
Locked
Yeah, I think right now, there's two entry doors there that can lock, so But ultimately, in the conversations with the other counties and agencies, they want to have that mental health advocate somewhat integrate with the patrol and detectives, so that way they can work more effectively. To be great to have them down there with space and a spot to meet and talk, and that's why I kind of jumped on the proposal when I was hearing what was going on with that building. I jumped on it, so.
Anybody else reached out, or from Karen to you or Casey? Nobody else needs. So it's mainly Laura, the zoning, and Catherine until June 30th. So what's your timing look like? I mean, we would need to find Laura somewhere to sit.
Well, I got 14 guys that could probably move everything in 2 hours, so.
Right.
My timeline is,
Yep.
I'm pretty open.
Yep.
That was going to be my request, that we don't pay any extra money if the sheriff does move down there.
That's for your volunteer.
Laura,
I was just gonna say, I'm happy to move wherever you need me, but I do have 2 5-drawer filing cabinets and 2 3-drawer filing cabinets and a desk with a locking filing cabinet, so I just need space for those paper documents.
Yep. And your walk-arounds, Casey, what else is open? I mean, you're gonna open some spots out that they'd be sheriff office, or between Mike and Casey, what are you guys seeing for opening spots?
So I really haven't seen too many that would suffice, as walking around the different facilities that have been offered up, a couple in the courthouse, juvenile court services area, things of that nature, the law library. To name a few, but as Casey had mentioned previously, the criticality of that area and the servers and things that are housed in there, it's almost detrimental just to be able to get to those very quickly. Not saying that where I'm sitting today doesn't allow me to run across the street, but that allows me to run across the hall per se.
For sure. Yeah, it's good for you to sit next to it.
Absolutely.
There is some rooms that might take zoning in the courthouse. Do you think
They were with
Small
juvenile
hall?
court
Okay.
services so to me, that comes into
I didn't know if there's anything open.
confidentiality and things like that. And I understand as an administrator, we literally have access to everything.
Right.
But in that same sense, you still want to try to separate as best you can. When you had mentioned timeframes, one of the things you consider would be the connectivity and interconnectivity between those buildings that we currently have. We're currently setting all the fiber layouts and things of that nature. We would have to do a little bit of network expansion to get the proper network over there and things like that. So I would work with CSS to make sure that that happened. One of the things that I could also probably provide is remote someone that needs it. If in the event that there's not another building per se, part-time employee, we could possibly discuss something like that and see if that is fit their needs as well.
Okay. Maybe Karen email out all department heads, see if they have an open spot that zoning could sit with their, I don't know, like.
think Menards had a 20 by 20 tent. You could
How do have air conditioning?
Maybe even, I mean, even like conservation, like at Otter Creek, I don't know if they have anywhere like that, or.
Most of my filing cabinet's locked, so if you just wanna throw me in a corner of your other conference room, I could probably do that. I've been mostly doing about 3 different days of the week that I come in, 4 on one occasion when they're busy.
It's
Yeah.
moving there.
That's true.
I have a big mouse next to you.
And where at?
The conference room down there, just plenty of room for
The assessor one?
Yeah.
Realistically, that room also probably has enough room in there if Brian wanted to jump in there as well. I mean, if it helps, 2 birds, 1 stone type thing.
first question was, would it be possible, since there's 2 entryways, we don't know really the building layout. I've been into a couple of offices there. But, that Laura would have a office with a separate entrance, or if there's any offices that could have a separate entrance.
Lays out down there.
You're gonna have to rekey some stuff if you want it, leave all the offices have the same.
Yeah, we would have. There's two entry points. And we would have to build some sort of a wall of some type.
She go in one side. Or she'd be over here, you guys over there, it's all separated.
Garrison's is on the end, so if you did the wall between, like, the extra entry door between Garrison's and the rest, it would be over there.
Yeah, back up on the top here.
Oh, yeah. I knew that.
I think let's just, my thought is, let's investigate where we can put Laura. It sounds like Mike and the two guys will move into the open spots if that's what we decide here, and your deputies would move down. Is there anybody else?
I have, like I said, I have no time frame.
Or you could start moving
I
some
can
of
start, I mean,
them,
I can,
the
like I
open
said, I
seats,
can, I
but
can have plenty of help tomorrow. So if it is approved, I mean, I can wait a month, 2 months. I know that there's 5 offices on that west wall. And as it would sit right now, all those would be occupied by, either a detective, the mental health liaison, possibly one other detective and the chief deputy. And one of those offices would be converted into a interview room. And so that's why I'm just trying to think if, I'm not entirely sure where the space would be if we did leave it open for Laura, or whether or not she would wanna hang out.
yeah,
She can handle it.
yeah.
But
We can
ultimately,
investigate,
yeah. I mean, so that's where I mean, for me, I'd like to go down there tomorrow. But I understand the time constraints on finding an adequate spot for anybody else who does occupy that. That's why I was just curious what had occurred on Tuesday night, because I know there's an economic development meeting. And I wasn't sure what the outcome was of that, so.
I think Joanne's still in her office too. I don't think she's moved out of it yet.
So there might-
To Catherine's,
Okay, she just is doing like
30 minutes a day.
30 minutes a day, so there might be just stuff, but yeah, I guess we need to make a decision and then kind of a timeline
I
plan.
didn't hear you.
Joanne that was used to be
Yeah.
with economic development. He's with the assessor office.
That'd be the end of the year also.
I mean, if no one else wants it, I guess. And timeline, I think Casey can just work with us and the affected, who's left there to make sure that whether you start moving now or not, we make sure they get a home and are comfortable in a spot.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? There's probably some more sensitive files, employee personnel files from the HR that would also need to be
Yeah.
taken into consideration. There's some old HIPAA documents that are probably there still from when it was, we may be able to destroy those depending on how old they are.
A lot of them are in a filing cabinet, so you could probably just move the whole cabinet somewhere until you decide what you want to do to it. There is a key for all the filing cabinets. They're very well labeled, so.
Yep.
Should be able to move that easily, just depending on where you want it.
Sure. Any other property, obviously, that would be helpful for you or useful for you, we want you to get use out of it if we wouldn't.
And again, I'm not trying to rush it. I just know that with the especially by the end of the year, the beginning of next fiscal year. And I say end of this fiscal year, coming July 1, I know that we're gonna have, like to have some sort of an idea on what we're gonna do, so that way we can plan. But again, like I said, I could start moving down there today, but I know that that's not realistic, so it's month, 2, 3, so that way we can adequately plan on.
I think Mike has a lot to say about that. I mean, what you brought up is the biggest thing. I mean, as long as you get the stuff,
Yeah.
you guys can work that out.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Can't wait.
Forgot about that guy. Opposed? That motion passes. We can move some stuff, right? Just to make it make sense, so. All right. No hiring exemptions that we know of, nope. Discuss and approve claims.
Ready? 136, 365.02, $136,365.02.
Just want to say, you make it sound a lot better.
Wow.
Would you make sure that you sign my name? Did you guys
Oh.
hear that? Please
Wait,
sign
hurry
my
up,
name.
it was fun.
Meeting's adjourned.
I'll make that motion to approve the claims.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Aye, and please sign my name.
We got a couple more weeks.
Can we go with Jim and then Karen?
Okay. I'd just like to thank you guys and gal for doing what you've been doing this year. Appreciate it. I know the whole county does, Salted County anyway. And you were elected to protect the citizens and the voters of Tama County. And this goes back to what you previously mentioned on the decommissioning of the turbine, the bond in Cedar Rapids. Okay, NextEra wanted to finish the assembly of the turbines this year. That bond expires the middle of next year. We don't know what's gonna happen after that for a decommissioning bond, I would assume. And with these wind turbines, and maybe they need to increase their liability insurance or, to add this into their own private policy, personal policies, because nobody would know who would tear them down. And this is to protect the people that have signed contracts too. But, I don't think they ought to be allowed to continue.
Karen?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the events building. So Casey, would your office be there also?
I would stay up here across the street.
You would, I thought you wanted window.
I do, but I saw the need for the rest of the deputies and our detectives to have the space to,
So then the receiving area would stay in the,
you have the jail, so myself and the civil side and the jail would stay up here. I would move all the patrol operations down to the west annex with our detectives and our chief deputy who will oversee and has overseen all of the patrol operations. And give them a better adequate space for all of our equipment, all of our
Services.
evidence, property, being not our physical evidence room, but all the items, data collection, and then just giving them the space to have adequate workstations.
does your chief deputy change or is that a person that's been there for a long time?
It's Joe Kwan, so he was there, he was appointed under Dennis, and then I did not want to get rid of him, so.
I really like that guy over there, every day. You should be
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Director comments to the board. Yep,
I remember everything.
I'll get her back later. Needless to sure.
Yeah, 10 years from now.
Richard?
Just a quick comment. Will the county attorney and the county sheriff be able to put their 2 cents worth in concerning what you tabled today, concerning you in the law in the state for next Monday?
Would they be,
Will they be able to put their opinion in before you make a decision on that?
yeah,
Okay.
I think that's, always allowed.
Well, will you ask?
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's right there.
And express our feelings. I do appreciate that. My question is on the ordinance that, the state has. Are they gonna look at the SR ratings of farms?
Yes.
Yes, ratings of farms. So these wind turbines will not put on the best quality land with wind turbines. Is there gonna be a guideline with this or not? You know, that is one of my concerns is that we give up enough land for housing, roads, constructions, for everything, you know? I wanted to look at preserving, way of life of farmers. I like to see, a choice. Not to be told what to do, how to do it, when to do it, when not to do it. I just want you, just look at our ordinances, update them, that they cannot be on the best land that is in Iowa. That's my concern.
But just to answer your question, I think that, the Tama County Land Use Plan incorporated a CSR2 rating of anything above 60 would be, reserved for agricultural purposes. And, paraphrasing that, I know that they were working on the solar, ordinance first, and then they were going to switch over to the wind ordinance. And so, at least a couple people here are, Craig's on that. You could talk to him about that. Anybody else here that's on the zoning board? They put that into the land use plan. Craig and the rest of the board there.
Yeah, you omit my name from the land use plan.
We're part of the board, so it's.
I
part
did
of your
not put the
decision.
land use plan, so
Well, it doesn't matter. It's still.
it matters, yes, it does.
Yeah.
It is approved by the board, I don't want my name attached to it.
Yeah, well, when you're on a board, you just support the decisions that the board makes.
That's not quite.
That kind of is how it works.
Think that, I think you're 100% wrong.
Good.
I'd like to follow up on Rita's, comment. The 60% or the CSR 60. This staging area that they've already got put up on along Highway 63, that's probably got a CSR 90 or better. That is prime farm ground. They are already in the code.
Yep. When you use the terminology of CSR2, I think they updated it to CSR2. But
Really?
corn suitability rating 2. Just for conversation's sake, there was an article that I had read, somebody had sent it on from a solar project that was out in, I believe either Kansas or Nebraska, where there was a hailstorm that went through and damaged a bunch of their solar panels. And there was something that leaks in there that they're trying to store for the batteries and went into the soil. They decommissioned it. All of that was taken care of, but the soil there can't be used again to farm for 300 years.
Correct.
That's a claim that the paper make. I can't, I'm not in it. That one would still be a pretty long time. So we do want to protect the land. Okay. Karen?
Yep, I have something on the paper. This is based, I'm going to add this, I'm going to, there are so many people that we all talk to individually. And I would like to say that God says in Genesis 8:22, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. So you might ask, how long will the earth remain? Revelation 21:3 says, Jesus said he will be back to set up his 1,000-year reign here on earth. So I think we better take really good care of it because we're all gonna be held accountable for it. It's gonna be here for a very long time. Well, I'm really proud of what this group of people in this room is to protect God's creation. Thank you.
No more comments. We'll close public comments and we'll adjourn at 10:32 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys on Monday.
See you, David.
David.